You are doing, all of you. Okay. Doing good.
Yes.
Shall we start? Or how it is? Chetan? Chetan, are you there? Okay, let's start. So, yesterday, I had a discussion with Chetan on how you guys are coping up or understanding or not, right? So, then I got some feedback from him saying that people who are from non IT, so they are finding it little difficult to understand Java, right? So, he requested me to have two more sessions from starting about Java basics. So we'll start again from the first Java basics today. But today and tomorrow we'll try to see if we can cover everything what we have learned till now. Okay. So shall we go ahead? You guys don't talk, so you could not tell me early, right? So you should tell me if you think that I was a little faster or you're not able to understand practice. See, practice is very critical. You have to practice for 30 minutes. I told you every day take a small Java program and practice. Whatever is being taught, we should practice. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand the next day's classes content, right? So if I say array list, you have to practice array list. If I teach arrays, linked list, or whatever a class in the class is taught. So the same evening, whenever you get time, you have to practice for just for 30 minutes. That is very critical because that will give you confidence. That will make you face the errors during execution. Then you will resolve them. If you don't resolve them, you will come to me, right? So anyways, you have told Chetan that the feedback that some of us are not able to understand what is being taught, right? So we will start again. That's okay, right? If I finish things, but you guys don't understand, that's of no use. So let's revise one more time, and then we will make sure that you guys understand everything, whatever is being taught. So let's again do the basics of Java. So, see, we started with Java introduction, right? So, Java as a whole is an object-oriented programming language. So, object-oriented programming language, it means it follows the object-oriented programming concepts, OOPS concepts, right? So, earlier we know there were, first of all, like when programming started, it was unstructured programming used to happen, right? Every every person who used to do that unstructured programming, you had to write multiple lines of code to repeat, right, certain actions. So then came the world of structured languages. So what they did, if there are similar actions, group them together, make them functions, right? So then that structure they started giving to the program, right? And then came the world of object-oriented programming, where you obviously you have to structure the program, but then you follow the OOPS concepts of abstraction, polymorphism, encapsulation, aggregation, association, and all those things, right? So these OOPS concepts are helping the programmer to design the program or to write the program to replicate the real world scenario, right? So Real world scenario means I have to say write an automation code, okay, to automate the web application, right? Any web application, Gmail, Facebook, or whatever application the company would is developing, we have to automate that. So in that scenario, right, I have to write the program, I have to write the Java code. So how does the OOPS concept help us, right? These OOPS concepts are generally to help the developers develop the code of the application, right? So any other example, right? Or Gmail I can take, or I can take our KSRTC website, or any website, right? So for a developer to develop a web application, right, he has to have the components built, right? So say for example, login. Login is the basic of all the web application, right? You have to log into any application to access the application. So login uh, is a component which is the entry point to the application, right? So you have the username, you have the user password, and then the login button. So this is like a scenario where you have to enter a authorized area. So suppose you have to go to an ATM, right? So what you have to do, you have to use your card to access that ATM, right? Or you go to any mall, you have to go through via the security, or you go to uh, passport office. So you have to go stand in a queue and then the security will allow you. So everywhere there is an authentication happening, right? You have to be legitimate. You have to be legal accessor. You who will access these places or these applications? Those who have access to the application. So this is a real life scenario, right? Same thing they have implemented in login. So there is a passport, our website, Passport Seva Kendra. So I go to the Passport Seva Kendra manually, or I go through the website. Both are having a login option. There they will ask you show me your documents, then only I will let you enter. Otherwise, without any passport related work, there is no use, right? So other people will get affected. Similarly, on the website also, you have to have proper credentials to enter into the application. So you create a you sign up for that application. First of all, you enter your details, right? Your passport number or whatever, and then email ID, one OTP will come, and then that OTP you will use it, and then you get verified, and then you have access now. Now you can log in and do whatever actions you want. You can book an appointment, you can pay, make the payment, right? You can select any center you want. So like that, any other application, Gmail, to have access to the Gmail server, obviously you will create an account first. You will create your credentials, username, and then password you will enter, and then you will one OTP will come or one Gmail link will come to your other email, right? The previous email before Gmail, right? You need to have another email to get verified. So once you have your verified link, you click on that verify link, then your Gmail gets verified, and then you have access. Now you can write emails, you can send emails, you can save as drafts, you can right, you can do whatever you want. You can receive emails from others. So this is login is an authentication feature for all everywhere, right? In real life scenario or in web application. So the developer who develops this login feature or the login component has to replicate this now. So this is a real life scenario. He has to replicate in the web application, right? So this is how automation in the sense how we automated the whole process of going to any place, getting authorized access now is being automated into a login feature which the developer is going to build now. So now Java has provided these concepts. You have to follow these concepts to develop that login component. So what the developer will do, he will write a login class, right? So login class, what class is a base of any programming language, right? Object-oriented programming language, because object-oriented programming language structures the things into objects, classes, and objects. So he will write a class. So now he writes a class called login, public void or whatever, right? Public static void login. And then he has so many methods inside it, right? Authentication, forgot password, right? Similarly, there will be multiple other methods which is required, right? Now, when this class has, when a user logs in, all these methods are used at different point of time. First, when the user accesses the URL, then that login page will come and user enters, right, the username and password and clicks on login. That time the authentication will get called, right? In the login class, out of so many methods, only one method will be used, right? So that authentication, what it does, it when you sign up, it saves your data in the database, right? Your user ID, password will get saved in the database. But when the login method is called, or the authentication method is called, that time the same database interaction is happening. So developer, what he will do, developer will also inside that authentication method, he will connect to the database and he will pass the user ID and he will retrieve the password, right? He will get back the password. So that method bring back the password. Now he will compare with the password provided by the user. So if the passwords match, user ID and passwords match, he will say okay. Now he will say true, return true. So now what will happen, user will have an home page. So it will, he will get redirected to home page. Otherwise, if the passwords do not match, maybe one letter is wrong, right? But one space is extra, one semicolon is extra, one comma is extra, whatever. So the login, inside the login class, there is one method which was called authentication. In that method, the database connectivity happened, so many things happened, right? But then is the end user able to see these things happening? Who is logging? No. So everything is hidden from the user, right? Everything is hidden from the user. It's happening in the background. So what is happening? Encapsulation is followed here. So you are creating internally one class, then object is getting created. That object is then calling the authentication method, right? Inside the authentication method, so many steps are getting executed. The developer is creating this, all these things, and then following the class and object structure. So this automatically follows the encapsulation, right? So encapsulation is hiding the, you encapsulate things in objects, right? And in form of classes. Class is a logical form, whereas object is the actual object which holds the data and information, right? So the concept of class and objects itself is following the object oriented concepts, programming concepts, right, of encapsulation, polymorphism. So now when there will be another scenario coming in future, they will there, the developer will make sure, right, you will polymorphism is taking different forms, right? You have a method, say uh, acceleration, right? In example of car. So acceleration takes, for diesel it will be different, for petrol it will be different. So the parameter is petrol for one acceleration, the same method, right? Same function, but the parameter is petrol, and for a diesel car the parameter is diesel, right? So what is happening is during runtime, now when the user starts the car, based on the fuel type, right, the acceleration method, different method will be called. If it is a petrol car, then you will call the method for petrol which takes the parameter petrol. But when the user starts the diesel car, then the method with the same name acceleration, but the other method will call. So during runtime it is decided what method has to be called, right? what method has to be called. So this is called polymorphism. So method is same, but it takes a different form based on the input parameter. So this is called like different for poly means multi, right? Multi polymorphs, right? It takes a different form, right? So based on runtime, and then similarly there would be operator overloading. Operator overloading means you have plus, minus, all these are equal to, all are operators, right? Now they have their plus will always do addition, minus will do subtraction, multiply will do multiplication, division, right? All these equal to will compare, or equal to will assign. But then in calculator class, you can make plus to do anything, right? You can override the existing plus method. There can be a add method, right, for a plus. So when you click a plus in the calculator, an add method is called, right? But now the user says, no, I will not do addition in add. I will do something else. I will display an image, right? So you can override that method. You can make that plus to do something else, right? Based on your requirement. So that time the operator is still the same, plus only, but user when it clicks, right, it is doing something else. So that is also based on the user input. So if the user presses plus, then now something else is happening. Minus will still continue to do subtraction. So these are called operator overloading. You are overloading, you are you are changing the behavior, right? And then there can be another scenario, right? You have a function which accepts two parameters, right? Username, password, right? Authentication method takes two passwords, two parameters, username and password, right? Now I can this authentication method write another method with the same name but accepting three parameters, right? Username, password, and then that captcha, right? Some nowadays we are seeing so many login application accepting or asking user to enter the captcha also, from 2 plus 2 equal to, or copy the same code, right? 1 2 3 4 5 or whatever random number they will generate, and that captcha also. So now the third parameter is captcha. So now what you did, you change the behavior, but then still the authentication name is same, right? The name is same, but only the number of parameter is different. So this is also another type of operator overloading. So during compile time, now based on the number of parameters, this method will call. If there is a captcha application and user is entering captcha, then he will call the method with three parameters: username or password and captcha details. Now this CAPTCHA also will get validated in the CAPTCHA server. CAPTCHA also is a server. So they what they will do, for every instance of the URL launched, the database will give one number. Same number is displayed on the UI. And if if the user enters some number and that number matches in the database, right? So then these three passwords should match, user ID should match, and the capture number should match. So these all will get validated and authentication will happen. So this is again operator overloading, right? So these all the OOPS concepts are followed by developers, development team to decide how I should develop the application. These are used. But from an automation point of view, we need not bother whether I have to follow object concepts and all, not required. This is just to make you aware that Java has OOPS concepts. So Java follows OOPS, right? So from an automation point of view, don't bother. You have to follow. I, as an automation engineer, also should follow. Whenever you write Java program, automatically it is getting followed, right? You don't need to write now the same two methods with the same name. Then based on the parameter, one will get called, another will get not called. No need to bother. From an automation point of view, we don't need to bother about that. We have to do validations, right? Our job is to do validations. What we will do, our job is to write Java program, right, using Java plus Selenium and TestNG, Maven, All these combinations I have to use and do the validation of the application developed by the developer. I should not bother as an automation engineer how I should write the oops, how should I implement the oops concept. No, oops concept are for developers. They will have to implement the real life scenarios of the application, right? Whether they are developing car application, whether they are developing passport application. So the development team has to worry about it. We as automation engineers, we will not be bothering how they develop it, right? Let them do whatever they want. I can develop, the developer can use .NET, right, to develop the application. I can use Java to validate that, right? Doesn't matter. It is just a URL for me. It will, I will say driver.get. I will launch the URL. I will have access now. Now behind what technology is using, what he is doing to whose concept is following, for us doesn't matter. For an end user, we are just like end user. Manual testing, what we do? Manual testing, we see with our eyes, right? And validate. You did the manual testing course. In that you obviously had so many like theoretical subjects, right? We learned regression testing, then ad hoc testing, database testing. So different type of testings we will do using your eyes only. Just we will see. We will write the test case in an Excel. Write test case 1. The home page should appear. Test case 2, right? You should see the username and password text box and login button. Test case 3, positive scenario. Right, password and the username and password is correct. Negative scenario, password and username is incorrect. So all these things will be written in as a test case, and then you will do the same action on the your application, and you will test it manually, right? You will just type in with your hands, and then try to see how the application behaves, whether it is throwing wrong error or not in case of negative scenario when the password is wrong. So the same, we have to automate it. Our job is to just automate that manual process, right? Earlier we used to manually do and spend lot of time to do the regression. Now what we will do, we'll automate this regression scenario. Automation is only for regression scenarios. Regression scenarios are those scenarios which are repeated, right? We do regressive testing. So when you do regressively some actions, those actions we can automate, right? We do the login every time, so let's automate login. We do uh, the home page, right? We access the home page all the time. After login, what we do? We access the home page, right? Whether it is Gmail or any other application. Home page is the base. It's starting point, right? So we obviously have to validate whether the homepage image is coming or not. All the components of the homepage is exist. We are able to see or not, right? Is displayed. So as an automation engineer, we will just do the validation of the application. We will not do anything else. We are not going to develop it, right? So we should not bother of oops concept. But what happens is when you write these codes, right? When Selenium driver equal to new WebDriver equal to new Chrome driver, we create an object, right, of that class. We get that object. So automatically the oops concept followed by the Selenium developers are being used here. We are using those. We are using them to automate our things. So we get an object. Now of using the object, I can call all the methods. Now while calling the method, right, while calling the method, based on the parameter I pass, the corresponding methods will call. There might be multiple methods with the same name, right? In Selenium also in API, if you see, API is a jar file, I told you, which gets downloaded from internet and it goes to Maven dependency folder. And then when you import, right, in your class, it is ready for use. So now based on the, I will call say driver dot find element. So find element is one method, right? Find element. Now based on the type of parameter I pass, there can be multiple find elements in that import, right? When I imported multiple in that class, right? So based on the type of parameter I pass to that find driver dot find element, that method will get called. So what is happening? Oops concept is getting followed, right? Automatically it will happen. They have made it available for us to use. We need not write that code, right? Driver.find element developer will write. Now that implementation is done. Now we have to just use it and do our validations. So automation, as an automation engineer, we have to just use the existing developed methods to validate things, right? So this is core of our automation job. No need to bother of how we should implement OOPS, whether we should be bothered about implementing properly or not. No, not required. Just like you have to have your laptop with Java installed and Selenium downloaded, right? Added via pom.xml, or you can download the jar and add to Eclipse, right? Using configure build path. So that's it, nothing else. Now your Eclipse will be ready, right? If I share. So this is your class. Now I created a class called Java variable. So I created a class for our training purpose. So now Java variable is a class I created. Now inside there is a main method, right? Main is for every .java file. Main is the entry point because that's the method which mandatorily should be there, right? So if I use testng, I don't need even the main method that I will tell you when we start Selenium, right? So now we are doing Java, so we will just focus on the concepts of Java, right? So now to what is a variable? The basic starting point of any programming language is variable, right? So there is integer variable, integer stores the numbers, right? Float, what is float? Float stores the numbers with decimal. Double is the having the same decimal numbers but with more number of decimal numbers after the decimal, right? Float will do 11.2, but double will do 11.22, right? All this type, all 0.22 is different than zero point 0.2, right? 0.2 is 0.20, 0.22 is 0.22, right? So to store 0.22, we need double or 0.2345. After decimal, if I have to store see, scientific applications have to worry about what is there even after decimal, right? For normal our uh, life, in our normal life, change is nowadays we don't have value of 50 paisa, right? We don't have the coin also available in market. No one uses it, right? Point 0.5. Point 0.5 is 50 paisa, right? But that point 0.5, though we don't use much now, it is very much important for scientists, because suppose there is a application for our ISRO, right? So they're calculating the distance between the Earth and the Moon, because they're planning, right? Next month, I think they have this uh, Gaganyaan being sent to Moon again, the second attempt. So during scientific calculations, after decimal is also very, very critical, because if you do not consider that point 22222, whatever the value after decimal, you might end up doing wrong calculation. So wrong calculation will lead to wrong directions. So the rocket which they are planning to launch will go to a little deviated place. So everything is like laser perfect it should be. So that's why they use double. So double is to store more numbers after decimal. Similarly, we have character, CHAR, character C, right, equal to, say I store F, right? So this is a character variable. Okay, it stores the alphabets, right? Each character will store each alphabet. So this is for storing the now group of characters is called string, right? Like that. Now this is called declaration, right? We declare the variable. Are you guys understanding? So or even I have to reduce the speed now, or that's fine now. You have to keep telling me, okay, so that we don't have to repeat it again.
No, sir, understand.
The understanding of very many people left. What happened? Three people left because it's revision class, right? Okay, anyways, that's fine. So those who are like from a non-technical background, please, yeah. So please let me know if you don't understand anything. Yes, Gangadhar.
Yes, sir. Basically, I'm feeling difficulty in understanding Java.
Okay.
Whatever theory you were explaining,
Hmm.
I got it everything.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Java, like you will be using some shortcuts, right? Like you will be
Yeah.
typing kata kata kata,
Yeah.
but I don't get it what you are doing in the back end.
No, no, you
And
don't see. I may use. See, I will show you. Right.
no, no, no,
See,
no. And
I'm
sometimes
just
no.
telling you. See, if I right click and create a class, right? In this class, say I give a
Your
test class.
screen share. Can you share the screen, sir?
Okay, screen is not shared. Okay. Don't bother. See, my speed may be different, right? I have been working so many
Yes,
years.
yes, yeah.
Don't bother. So, sir is doing fast. You, as your, see, you have to think about yourself. So, you should always focus on what you do, right? So, I created a new class just now, right? Test. Now, inside this you can do, right? You know how to do to create a class. But this
Yes.
also is little difficult for you.
No, no, sir. I got
Any
it.
folder, any folder, you take any folder, right? In SRC test or main. In that also you can create, right? Inside you can create another folder, and inside that also you can create, right? So it is, you have to play with it. Until you don't play, then how will you practice, right? Here also, see what it will do. Will it allow? It will
No.
not allow. There is no option to create a class, because class is a part of project. So you have to create a project first. So why we created a Selenium training project, Maven, and then automatically these folders came, right? When it build, right, 100%, then this structure is ready for us, right? Now main Java and test Java, two folders are for users. SRC main Java, SRC test Java. SRC main Java also you can write classes, right? See, if I click on SRC main Java, now I can write class, right? But for a good programmer, or for a good person who manages things properly, like I told you yesterday, don't put everything on desktop. You manage your computer or laptop properly, right? So to segregate things, to whenever you are, if you are not keeping your things properly in your house, say for example your shoes should be outside the gate, main gate, right? And it should not come inside the house. Your clothes, once you come out from outside, what you do, you change your clothes and keep it properly in one corner, right? And then you have your utensils in your kitchen, right? You have your drawers for your papers. So this is how you should also arrange. So this structure is given by Maven, right? So they are structuring things properly. They are giving two folders. Okay, for people, please have your common methods inside main, and please have your test classes inside test. By test word itself, we can know we are going to use some testing related things. So they have provided a folder. Now what you do, you create new folder inside this, right click, create a folder. You can create a package or you can create a folder, both options, right? Source folder also you can create. So all these options you should play with, right? So now by default they are giving a package, right? SRC test Java. So this is a package. See, folder will be like this, the yellow color. Package will have something black also associated with the folder, the grid, small table type of things, right? So you, this is a package and this is also a package. Right now inside test, I created another package, right? What happened inside this, if I open, I have my all my test classes now. So these all are tests. So we are not doing anything common. And suppose I want to write something very common, like for example, I will say, right, create a new class called common functions, right? I will not use main now. Common functions, I will not use main because I'll just keep the methods there. So now common functions class I created. Now what I will do, what are common functions? Common functions can be setup, right? This is one method. Tear down, one method. What is setup? You will ask me what sir is telling setup and all. Public void setup. So what it will do, it will have a body, right? It is not like interface, it is a class. You have to implement public void tear down. Tear down also will have a method. Then public void connect to DB. Every time we are going to use these things, right? Common. These are common for every tests. Connect to DB. Then disconnect from DB. Right? Disconnect from DB. Then what are the common things in the world in automation for any web application? Login. Right? This is also common. Every time I am going to repeat this. So whatever the user is going to repeat every multiple times, put in the common functions. So these are common methods. So this is what is Selenium API. Selenium API is a collection of common methods, right? Driver.find element, driver.click, driver.find element, driver.this, driver.that. So many methods they have. All these are common methods. We are going to use them many times, right, in our code. So Selenium API is a collection of common methods, right? So that's the in the jar file. But now for our automation, we are creating our own common methods, right? So that we can use them. Now setup I did. Setup means to say if I want to set the browser type is, what is the browser type? Then what is UID, password, and then login. So all these things I will put in setup method. So what, sorry, not the UID and password. This will come inside login, right? Browser type, whatever setup you will need to start the automation code, browser type, then version, right? And then what you can database. If you are using database, it will connect here, right? And tear down means say we want to driver.quit, right? We'll put it here, right? All, so we are segregating main SRC main Java, SRC test Java. Testing is inside SRC test Java. All the validations will put it here, right? And all common functions will put it here. And you know what happens? Now I created a common functions class with this many functions. But even if I structure this properly, I will create all database related common functions in another class. I can do that, right? It is liberty. It's not stopping English. It's not putting any restrictions. I will say or database common functions, right? I can do this also. So what I will do now, this class is ready. So I will take out this common functions, connect to DB, disconnect to DB from here. And I will put it here, right? So there will be so many, in database, you can write thousands of common functions. Thousands are there, right? Just for database. The database is a huge ocean. Like our programming, Java is an ocean. Similarly, database is also an ocean, right? So what I am trying to say is this is how you have to structure. So if you don't go and create things inside this, you will not be able to do anything. So keep practicing. Right click, do something. What happens? See the options, right? There is new. So what is new? It is giving project, class, annotation. Oh, I know what is class. So let's create a class, right? Package also I know. Others, click on others and see what is there. So this is a wizard to create a, again the same class we can create from here. You can give the name, right? Same UI pop-up will come. Give the name, select the main, and say finish. Right? So you have to play with the tool. Now, suppose you know this. You while writing the program you are finding difficult. So what you do? You create a class and write SYSO control space, right? So what I will do, I will say press SYSO plus CTRL plus space will give you this line automatically. Or put some effort, right? SYSTM dot, it is S should be capital, automatically out dot, automatically it will do. So dot print. There are two functions. One is with print, one is with println. Put anything in the string. It will always accept a string. Hello world, right? So this, at least you can write this. So you are from any background, basic, right? Save it. This pop-up is to save. See here, save and launch. Proceed. Say it is saying some project is having some error. So but you will say proceed. Hello world gets printed. So this is how you should start, right? Hello world, you can. So these basic things you are able to do, right, Gangadhar?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So where is the challenge? The challenge in practicing the concepts of Java.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, last 2-3 classes, no, when you started.
Yeah, obviously, see,
Playing.
those are obviously data structure. See, data structure in Java is a very, very important thing for any programming. Data structures, right? Data structure is the core. How do you structure your data, right? So those 2-3 classes, last 3 classes were about data structures only. So data structures are critical. But from an automation point of view, you need not worry about how I will create an array list and then how will I efficiently use it. You have to just try to add and remove. Those two basic functionalities is enough, right? Array list. You practice array list. If you type also, no, you will get
Yes.
array list. Then what type it is, say string, right? This format you should be knowing. You are seeing, right? You have to practice. You can, if you don't know, go to Google and say I want to write small, give me small program on array list. Automatically you will get a program. Copy paste that and come bring it here. Given, right, list, right, equal to new, right, array list. Right, you're asking the compiler to give me a new array list of same type, right, string. This is the syntax you have to follow, right? Import it. It will throw error, but you have to mouse over and see what's the error. Oh, it is cannot be resolved to a type. So it is giving an option, remove import. So it gets imported here, right? So this is coming from array list. Spelling is wrong, right? So this is coming from java.util. See, everything, most of the things are utilities. Util means utilities. So java.util. So they have packaged everything. You can yeah, you can use this. Now the list object is ready, right? Now add some elements. So list, if you do this, automatically you will get dot, right? So dot is your life in programming. This is called suggestions. You'll get auto suggest options available after you put a dot after the object, right? So all the methods, available methods will be available, will be visible to you. To array, size, weight, right? Trim to size, to string. I can convert to string. I can get the class name. I can get the index of the list, what index value I want. So now basic operations, you have an empty list now. This line creates an empty list. An array list is a empty array list got created. An array list as a whole, if you see, it is a type of array but dynamic. I told you array is not dynamic, right? It stores in consecutive memory locations, blocks the memory. So many limitations were there. So to overcome that, they provided array list. So now array list is ready to use. You add elements, list.add, and there is type is string. You cannot put one here because that data type is not matching, right? So how do you provide string? Always in double quotes, right? ABC, You added an element, and now if you print, say copy paste this, right? You print this list, run it, you get hello world. This is coming first, right? I'll comment that, double slash will comment it, run it, you'll get ABC now, because you added only one element ABC. See, it is showing in form of array, right? So these are, I mean to say, you have to go and start typing. You have to go and start practicing, playing with the Eclipse IDE. IDE is Integrated Development Environment. So we can develop an application using Eclipse, or we can do automation using Eclipse. Both the activities is possible. Developers also use Eclipse to develop their code, and this Eclipse is just a tool to organize your code, right? I told you just now, it is main methods coming here. So common methods is showing red color, so it is some. We'll open that and see what is that red color. Okay, these variables are not defined, whatever variables they are. Driver object is not created, so driver.quit, that is why it is throwing error. So all will be showed line by line. See, if it is red, it will show here. If mouse over, UID cannot be resolved to a type. So it means not defined anywhere, right? You have to define the variables. So just remove them. So that error is gone now. Right. So until you don't practice it, then it will be difficult. So please go ahead and practice things. Otherwise, what will happen? Everything will finish and you will be left with a pile, backlog of things to practice. So today I taught you array list. Tomorrow I will teach you linked list, right? So now if you don't practice, tomorrow you will have to practice linked list and array list both. So it will get added, and you will have the bundle of things to practice. Then you will think, oh my god, it is so complex. So half an hour, whatever is being taught, just try to execute one small program, right? If the recordings are also there, if the recordings are also not there, go to Google and copy paste one program, right? Simple, and do it. Practice it. Syntax and all, it will come handy slowly. First, you learn by copy pasting only. See, when we are small kids, right? What we do? We copy our parents, we copy our friends, we see other nature, and then we copy and learn. So that's how we will learn. Initially, let's copy it from any source, whatever source it is, and paste it and run it. You might get error. If you are not able to resolve, you can come to me. If you are able to resolve, good and well, right? You can run the program. So you have to make your hands dirty and start practicing, right? So until you don't do that, it will be little difficult, because these are programming concepts you were not aware, right? So earlier you were from non-IT, so you might be thinking, so many things are there. Java is such a huge thing, array list, linked list, hash map, so many things, right? So take it one by one. So that's why I started with the basics again. So I started with variables. So this is the base. So you don't have anything in your head, variables is your first thing you should know. You got to know about OOPS. OOPS is some developers who use it. We don't need to bother, right? For us, we should know how do I declare a variable. Because see, when we have to do validation, as an automation engineer, we have to capture data from UI, right? And do the validations. So now when there is a string, I have to store in string, right? There is a string called Bangalore on the application, right? On the passport seva office, if I say capture the list of centers available, right? So all those drop down will have string values, right? So all these strings I cannot store in integer. These are not integers, right? They are string values. So how do I string? How do I store in string? Good. We have to use string city equal to, and then whatever the data we have captured from the UI, right? You can capture using driver dot find element, right? Here I will give you some XPath, right? driver dot find element by, this is, I may be fast, but don't worry about this will come, by dot xpath, right? And then I give some xpath here, right? So now I have captured a web element, say city name, web element. So driver dot find element returns a web element. Web element e equal to, now you have, it will say import everything. Whenever error comes, it will ask us to import it. So now driver is not there. So driver class also I have to create. So web driver equal to new Chrome driver. Here also again error coming. So again import the web driver interface and import the Chrome driver class. Right? You imported both of them. Now driver object is not showing any error. Right? So what it did, driver dot find, driver is the object, right? Which now will talk to the UI. It will have access to the web page. So using that web driver object, we can read everything on the UI. So it is saying, okay, please driver object, please find the element I am providing here. So some XPath I will give. Say class name equal to, I'll teach you about XPath. XPath is also an ocean. Okay. This will help you a lot. So it will say, sir, driver, can you find me an object on the UI whose class name is @class equal to, this is the structure of your XPath, right? Give me an XPath whose class is test. Sorry, inside that, right? Test. So what it will do, this driver, now we have got the hold of driver. Now it will use this method using this XPath provided by the user, right? It will search the entire web page, the application. Web page means web application or website. It will search the entire website. Website means, see how automation works. Your Hyundai car, right? Hyundai's application, right? Behind this, if I do inspect, right? What is there? This is your entire HTML page. This the UI developer will write. All this is written by the UI developer, right? Front end developer. The front end developer will write this structure now. He will define HTML, body, and then whatever is inside this, the whole page is inside body, right? And then you will have so many components inside the body, right? Body composed of so many parts. Similarly, the body of this page is containing so many things, right? So one by one, all these components will be created by the UI developer, man, slowly. He will also take time to develop the web page, right? Backend team will start working on the backend code development. UI developer will start working on the UI code. He will be given a prototype. Okay, UI developer, think that your future website is going to be looking like this. You start developing. So he will slowly first have a blank page. He will launch that and say, oh, I have, at least I'm able to launch a blank page when I say launch the application. Now then he will add a header, the first header, right? This logos he will add, and he will again launch, and he'll say, oh, logo is appearing. But he's thinking logo should be on the left. So he will change the property to left, right? Similarly, he will add slowly, he will add all the components, and then we will get the home page. It is not that easy, right? Though we have so many tools available to develop UI, still customization is very, very time-taking activity. So UI team also starts very early than the backend team, right? UI team will take 2-3 months extra time before the backend team actually starts working. So they have to design, collect the images, so many requirements. See, UI is the end user, right? What the end user is going to see will be the UI. So end user will be seeing the UI, and the images should be good. The text size should be in such a way. If it is a mobile app, it will be different. If it is a desktop or a laptop application, right, it will be little bigger, right? So all these discussions will happen, requirements will be understood, discussed, right, and then given to the handed over to the UI team. So UI team will start every day. There will be calls. They will discuss, sir, you have given this requirement, but this should be this. They also will have suggestions, right? So this is the whole development project cycle, how they will resolve things, how the requirements will be understood. There will be analyst, business analyst, who is the mediator between the customers and the developers. So the business analyst will understand from business and the customers, and he will bring it to the development team. Development team consists of developers, UI developers and backend developers, QA people, right? These two components will be the development and testing and the DevOps. So all these three, four components together sit every day, discuss on whatever is to be built or whatever is being built, right? So the whole development team will start working after the requirements are collected and understood by the business analyst and documented in a document, get it signed. So that's what this is not an easy task, whatever it is. Whereas UI developer, you think, oh, what just a UI is so not not so complex, but it's very very complex. Even any job in this world, you should not take it lightly because it should be perfect, right? We should have things in correct organization and correct structure. So I just wanted to convey that as an automation engineer, you have to write your code to do the validations of this UI, right? Whether this image is coming or not, whether these links are working or not. So I click on this link, right? Connect to service, right? See what will happen? Now it will throw this auto suggest. So I will do a validation. I will say once I click driver dot find element connect to service dot click, if I do, then what I will do, I will collect these elements now using XPaths, using properties. Then I will validate how many elements are there. I will count first of all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 elements are appearing. I will write a test case, right? I will write whether these elements are appearing or not. Then I run that script, it passes. So when I run it next day, tomorrow, if it fails, means there is some change. They added one more, right? Or they removed some text. They changed the service calculator to just calculator, genuine parts to original parts, right? See, roadside assistance is roadside assistant, comma, or in the bracket they put something else. So any change they might have done would have broken our script, right? So I will say my script is failing. This is the report. Out of the 30 regression scripts, automation scripts, 29 passed, but one script failed. Connect to service script failed, right? So connect to service script failed, and then they will ask you to give a screenshot, right? When you run our automation script, there is an option to take screenshot also, and it will save in one location where what you provide. So we will provide that screenshot. See, this is the screenshot which was captured during automation execution, and this is now the development. We will compare. Oh yeah, the QA team has caught a change in the application. So now what they will tell, okay, QA team, good. So you have to change your script now. So now what we will do, our script did the good job, right? It caught the change in the application before any information. If they had deployed that change, then that is their mistake. So what they will do, they will revert back the change because that is not even ready for customers, right? So they will revert back, or they will say change your automation script. So we will update our script to do one more to 12th list out of this 11. One more was added, or whatever change, the text change or spelling change or anything, comma or whatever added to this list, that we will add to our script. Again, we will run the script and check. So automation is to do validation. Just remember that. So we need not bother. Where is now whose concept coming here? Any OOPS concept is coming? It's not coming, right? We are capturing using XPath or class or ID or name, capturing this, and we are saying is displayed using Selenium. That's it, right? So driver dot find element by XPath I gave, and then I captured that city, whatever city or whatever link text, right? I will capture that and store in city. So E dot get text, right? E dot get text. There is a method which gives the text of the element. So every element has a text. Connect to, so this is an element, right? Connect to service is the text, right? So I gave some XPath. I captured this element. Now I get dot get text. If I do, it will give me that text of that object. I will store in city. Now I'll do the validation. If city dot contains Bangalore, right? Then SYSO is first, right? Done. Your validation for your cities on the UI is done. Similarly, this is not the correct way of doing your automation. There will be, like, nowadays tools have come, right? TestNG and other things. So this we will structure in future. This also we can structure. We will not write if city equal to Bangalore. There are options available now. Assert dot assert equals, these methods are available in TestNG. Now I will say expected. Expected is Bangalore, right? And whatever we captured from the UI is actual. So like this, we will do it. Instead of writing if condition, we will do assert. Use the asserts available in TestNG package, right? So there are tools available for us to efficiently automate, right? So for the where is OOPS concept here? Nothing. Only is how you should know how to use things, right? That's it. So now we were into variables. So we started with variables. Variables, we know what are the different variables: integer, float, double, character, and these are the primitive variables, right? Primitive data types. Primitive means core data types. See, our string is also a data type, but that is a customized. It is a group of characters, right? Bangalore is Bangalore. It is a group of characters. But every character in Bangalore is a character, which is primitive. Primitive means provided by the Java, right? They provide it. So they will say these are we will provide the different data types, primitive data types, which have certain properties. Integers will take some memory location, and we have to define in certain way. Float will take some memory location, it we have to define in certain way. If you don't define, we will throw error. Say if I store a string in integer, compiler will automatically throw the error. So they will have some rules, right? These are primitive data types. Using primitive data types, we can build custom data types like string, arrays, array list. All these things are defined by the user. What they store inside that is controlled by the user. But these will be fixed. You cannot store anything inside integer apart from numbers. Float will always have a decimal value. Double will have more decimal value numbers. Character will always store a single character, right? And there will be specific memory, total memory used, consumed by these data types. And now string city. So we have given Bangalore. So 2 bytes for B, A also 2 bytes, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So total 18 bytes of memory is used to store Bangalore. So this is controlled by the user. You can give Bangalore, you can give Visakhapatnam, you can give any, right? Thiruvananthapuram. So long, any names, this is controlled by user. So that becomes a non-primitive data type or defined by the user. So city is a string variable, right? So just imagine Java gives you primitive. Now using primitive, you will use them and define whatever variables you want, right? Array list also, if you see, where is array list? Array list, right? you are using here inside string, right? Right? String. What is string? String is again a collection of characters. So eventually it goes to memory using primitive only. Right? Everything you are doing, all the variables finally will get converted into primitive only. But you can group them as strings, you can group them as arrays, you can group them as array list, linked list. But eventually in memory, they get stored in the primitive only. Primitive means the core of the programming language, the core of the programming language. They will get converted finally to primitive only. That's the base. You have to understand that. Even I have created as a string. This string is a group of characters, right? So finally, all these will stored in form of characters in memory. B will store somewhere. A will store have a different memory location. N will have a different memory location. G memory different. A different. L different. All these will have different memory location, and then it will keep all those addresses, memory location address, and then when you want to use it, what it will do, it will read from those different memory locations and show it to you, right? It will be available for you to use it like that. So primitive data types are integer, float, double, and character. Non-primitive can be anything, string, array, array list, all those are non-primitive, right? So now we just did this code, right? This is just to show you how UI we are going to automate. So now when you have variables has two steps. One is declaration. Do it. What happened? Am I still connected? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I heard some sound. So this is called declaration, and giving a value is called initialization. So you can also do together at the same time. Say int a equal to 100, right? Both the things can be done during declaration also. Pi equal to 3.14, right? You can do it directly during declaration itself. You can initialize float pi equal to 3.14. What it is saying? Because type mismatch, right? I cannot use only single decimal, right? Float pi. Oh, pi has a pi as this is a keyword, so I have to do something else, right? So what it is saying? Multiple markers in this line. The type mismatch can be converted double to float. Double to float. Where is double here?
Instead of using float, we can write double.
No, I mean to say, but float is also a decimal value, right? So it should accept 3.1. Why it is not allowing me? Type mismatch. Double I understand. Double we can double D equal to 3.234. It will store. But float also should accept decimal numbers, right?
Yes, yes.
1.1. What is the challenge here? Is that it is asking to cast a float. Okay. So we have to use a cast for 1.1. This is not the actual behavior, but anyways. So the core concept is
No, actually,
hmm,
instead of h, you need to write pi. Pi is equals to 3.14.
yeah, I mean to say, see, I'm not
Change that h to that pi.
see PI I can use here, right?
Yes, now write
Okay, so
3.14.
I think the F is required for any float. There is a
Yes,
this
yes.
one F should be there. Float F, right? So you can see here we have used this F, right? For any decimal, single decimal, you have to use F to indicate that it is a float variable. But for D, we don't need that. We can directly store. Right. So the two steps involved is one is declaration and one is initialization. So declaration can be clubbed with initialization at the same times, or we can do it separately here. So I can define A here, right, with semicolon only, and I can say, okay, A will contain 10. I can define pi here. Only declaration can be done, but the value assignment I will do later on, right? We can do it here. So there are two ways. During declaration itself you can do, or you can do it later on whenever you want, right? But the standard approach is always initialize the values. Say for example, there is a boolean, right? Boolean is also there. Boolean say does exist. So you want to create, right? Equal to, always assign it to false, because we should change it to true once we find it, but initially there is nothing, right? So initialize the value with false. Now if found, right, if found, then you change it to true. Does exist means it will become true. Some condition, right? Some condition for found. Condition for found we have to write here. So if that is true, does exist becomes true. So the good habit of a programmer is always initialize, declare initialize, so that you don't have to do it again later on. It will help you because the initialization is already done. Declaration, obviously you have to declare. Without declaring that it is an integer or float or double or character or boolean, you cannot proceed, right? So during that declaration itself you initialize. That's a good programming way approach, right? Otherwise what will happen is you will have to initialize separately, right? So first of all the compiler or the interpreter will have to interpret this line, then again this line. But if you give a equal to 10 directly here, both the activities are done in the same instance. So the time and space complexity, the time taken to process this code or execute this code will be less. If you do it in multiple repeated lines, obviously the time will be more, right? He will first initialize or declare, and then he will initialize. Means 2 times the same activity has to be done, right? So better is to always follow this approach. So, but there are 2 steps involved. Even if I have int a equal to 100, first is the declaration part comes in, and then the a equal to 100 assignment comes in, right? So these 2 will be clubbed. So always clubbing will help you to reduce the time taken, right? So these are basics. You have Java. Java is a programming language which follows those concepts. And now we started with Java variables. Java variables are primitive and non-primitive. Primitive is integer, float, double, and character, right? And boolean. Whereas non-primitive is whatever the user defines, string, array list, all those things. Arrays are all user defined. So those will be those will have more memory allocated in a different way, right? So that control, the user controls how much element I have to add, how much I have to remove. But the primitive ones are by default provided by the Java JVM, right? So these are primitive and non-primitive. Local variable, static variable, instance variable, right? Local variable is what? When you write a program, right? So say for example, I wrote a test today, right? I started this. So now let's remove this. I have nothing in my class. Test, only the main method. Now I will say public void. I'll write one method m1, right? And I will say print something. SYSO. Control space, remember that. And then I say this is m1 method, right? Same I will repeat for m2. 2 methods I will keep. Okay, we have to give a separate name. If I don't, it will throw error. This is m2. So we have what we have? We have 2 methods. Public, what is happening? Main can have methods. Public static void main. Why do you need a static here? Complete block statements. Okay, sorry. So main is a method itself, right? Okay. So now you have written SYSO and then say this is main method. If I execute this, which one will get printed? According to you, which one will get printed? Tell me now. What is your answer?
This is the main method.
Okay. Rest of all? Gangadhar? What will get printed? There are 3 print statements.
The first one is like public static void main.
Okay, this will get printed. What about others?
Yeah, that one only will print. This is main method.
Got it. Next, anyone else want to comment? Ambika? Others? Pawan, Prashant, please talk. What will get printed? I have 3 print SYSO, 3 system.out.println. One is in main, 2 are in M1 and one other one is M2. Which will get printed? This one or all 3 or these 2 or this one or this one? What will get? What will be the result of this
I
execution?
think, Anil, I think all 3 will be print. I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay.
No, first will.
Others, okay. Okay, rest. Ambika? Pavan? Prashant?
Main method itself, sir.
Okay, main method itself. Only one person has told
This is main method.
different. Others, I think you told, right? It will 3 will get printed. Okay. Okay. See, the answer is only this will get printed. Why? Because this is main entry point, right? Entry point is the main method of Java program, right? Now you have entered main and you have printed this. M1 and M2 are user-defined methods, right? We don't have entry point. We don't know at all. So how do I access them? You cannot access these methods directly. How will you access? Using objects. So you cannot access directly M1 and M2. Main is the method provided by the compiler, by the JVM. So Java program by default main will get executed. Right? So everyone told correct. Only others you should be clear that main method is the entry point of the application. By default, whatever is there inside main will get executed. Remaining outside main will not get executed. But if you want to use that, you have to use objects. So create a class object, test p equal to new test. And then what is this?
T.M1.
No, so test is small. I have to change it. So now T dot
M1.
automatically it will show here. See here M1 and M2. T dot M1. Call that method. T dot M2. Now all 3 will get executed because till you don't have this, you don't have access. The compiler will start. See, the compiler interpreter will come into picture first. He will interpret all these lines of code. They will check the syntax, everything fine, done. Compiler will start compiling. Package compiled. Import, okay. This is just an import statement. They will see whether that class is here in the Maven dependencies or not. In the right, in some certain specific folder, one class would be there. So that also that will be validated. Now this public class test, this will get executed. And then by default, once I encounter the class line, I will search for main. Compiler will search for main. So if I don't have this, then it will throw error. It will say there is no main method. See, there is no option itself. Do you have option if you don't have main? There is no option to run also. Right? So compiler will expect main. It will search for main. Okay, out of M1, M2, and main I found. And interpreter has already validated the syntax. So he does not bother about syntax. So now he will start executing this line. So now he will execute and print this. Where is this? There is no picture at all. Right? Inside main, there is nothing else. So only one will get called. But now If I execute this, I will get the option now. See, once I have main, I will get the option to execute, right? Okay. So proceed. So what happened? This is the main method. It gets printed. Only this is called, right? Now I will paste this is whatever the object and the calling of the methods. Now once I have this, T is an object of the class, this class, right? My own class. Now I have to access outside whatever main. So I am using that object and I'm calling M1 and M2. So I will execute this. So I will get both or the third three statements, right? Using objects. So yes, when we started this, right, class and objects, using objects only, we can access outside world data. Like for example, web driver equal to new Chrome driver, right? Chrome driver is a class, is my class? No, right? It is outside my package, outside somewhere it is lying, right? How do I call it? Using objects. Similarly, in this class also, main is an entry point. Now outside main, I don't have any access. How do I access? Using object. So create an object and then all those two methods. So M1 will also get called, M2 will also get called. Suppose I have a variable here, int f equal to 1000. So this is also outside variable, right? Now how will I access it? Same method, right? T dot f. That's it. I can call that. What it is saying? Syntax error, insert variable declarators to complete local variable declaration. So now tell me, how do I call this f here? This is also outside, right? It is main. I want to print the value of 100. F. How will I print it? T is the object. Dot f, it is giving. What you need? Tell me. Is it a method? No, it is just a variable. This is your homework. There is a variable outside main. Okay. And I want to access that. We all know using object, we can access the variables and methods outside main using an object. But now I'm seeing it is throwing an error. Syntax error. Insert variable declarators to complete local variable declaration. So I know the answer, but I want you to research this. Just write the same program. Same program. If I'm able to share on chat, let's see. That day I was not able to. Here it goes. Fine. No, it's not going. But it's a very basic program. Just a class and main. Inside main, you are having one print and then two methods and one variable. Okay, remove this also if you want. Remove the methods also. I don't want methods. Right? Just call this variable. Let's see. Tomorrow I want to see if you can resolve this. This is a homework for you. All of you practice this. There is a method outside main, or sorry, variable outside main containing 1000. I want to print it now. How do I print it? I told you using variable object you can do. Using object we can access anything outside, right? So that's the OOPS concept, right? You have to use abstraction, right? So abstraction is what is implemented here. To access the data outside, you have to use object because the end user should not know the internal details, right? So how you will do it? So this will be your homework for you guys. Okay, we'll stop here now. So hope you got the homework. I want you to practice this. Control D will remove your lines, extra lines. So what is the way we can print this? SYSO, you have to print this. Okay. Let me see if you can do it. Tomorrow I want the answer. I gave you the answer, but still, T.F, what does it mean? what is this error mean and how do I resolve this. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Guys, I think we are good. Any now, the speed is okay for all of you. You should keep interacting. See, the more you interact, the more you talk, you will express, right, what is your issue, what you are understanding, what you're not understanding. Until you don't tell, then the end other side, right, we will not know. So Chetan and myself want you to understand instead of going fast. So we want you to pass the interviews, right? We want you to clear the interviews. It will be fresher level interviews or whatever experience level interviews. You should understand the concept behind the programming, right? Right. Every interview will have all these basic questions. What is variable? What are the different types of OOPS concepts? All these base, right? Just to know whether the person knows that he has exposure to it. He does not want you to tell how it is implemented, how that is implemented. He will just know what is OOPS, what are the different OOPS concepts, and then he will come to what are the different types of variables in Java. Then he will come to what is the two steps involved in variables declaration and initialization. Then he will go to complex things, right? So base is starting is this only, the basics. So you clear your basics, then you build your foundation. Okay. So tomorrow and now give me the feedback. How is it, guys? Or you want some speed to be reduced, some more speed? Gangadhar.
This is fine, sir.
This is fine, sir.
Fine. Practice.
Yeah,
That's what
fine.
I'm saying. You go back and practice the program. See, you guys might, I don't know the history of all of you, right? I only know that you are willing to learn automation, and then some of you might be working, some of you might not, right? You might be just learning and then planning to go for interviews and find a job. So if you have enough time, right, keep practicing. But if you have office to attend and then you have to spend so much hours in office, then spend half an hour. But if you don't have office, then what else you will do the whole day? At least 1 hour, 2 hours you can practice, right? Apart from other activities. So practice with small programs. There is nothing which you cannot do. It's very, see, the moment you start typing in and you'll get the feel of it. Okay, now this is what a print. This is a basic print, right? SYSO. Hey, whatever you want to print, you can print. Then create an object. Then using that object, you do whatever you want. Create methods inside, outside, right? Play with it. See, this is a class, right? Now, outside this class, can I create another class? Just one. Can I create? See, the class ends here. This is my class called test.java. So test.java will only allow you to create one class because that's the reference of the class. The file name is test.java. So you cannot create, right? So how you can create multiple classes in one single file? So many things are there in Java. So, but you have to experiment. Keep playing with it. So until you don't play football, you will not know how the football will be played, right? So any sports, any programming, anything, practice is required. I'll always tell you, practice and encounter, love the errors, love the, what to say, escalations. See, when we were in college or complaints will come, right? When we were kids, neighbors will complain. When we were in college, teachers will complain. When we are in office, escalations will come. This person is not working. This person has not the right skill set. Those escalations will come. Love those escalations. Those escalations only will make you a good person because you will then try to resolve those escalations, right? So similarly, errors in program, love the errors and try to resolve it. You now what you will do, you will, as an homework, you tell me how do I access the variable t.f, how do I resolve this? Okay, so let's meet tomorrow. Or any other program, you can show it to me. I will be happy to see. I mean, so many people might be already knowing it, but yeah, keep showing whatever you have achieved, you have practiced. That will also help me to understand how much you are understanding, right? And any complex programs you do, that is very good, right? We'll have a working session also. I mean to say assessment session. So you have to be ready for that, because based on the assessment only, we will be sending you for interviews, right? So assessment will be there. So pay more attention, keep practicing. Until you don't practice, you will not clear the assessment, right? So assessment will be there. So be ready, be alert also during the classes, and let's meet tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
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 Bye, sir.